girl is on a mission. She's gunning for your soul. Call it blonde ambition, but it's all about control. She wishes you could make a dirty dream come true. So here's what you're gonna need to do. Stack up what used to be a man. Keep only the parts that fit the plan. You know, if you can. Now it's death by improvement. She's just gonna need to change a few things. You'll forget where your youth went, and you won't feel the streams when it's death by improvement.
Welcome to the Friends of Dan Music Podcast. I'm Dan Miles. You've been listening to the music of Monkey House. Joining me in the studio is the brain, voice, and fingers behind Monkey House, Don Breithaupt. Welcome back to the show.
Dan, thanks for having me back. I think we can maybe set a record this time, talk even longer than last time.
Well, this is your third appearance with us. Back on episode 73, we spoke about your previous Monkey House album, Headquarters, and your just passing through Breithaupt Brothers album. Then in the very next episode, we covered the books you wrote with your brother Jeff about 70s music and pop culture, which are called Precious and Few and Night Moves. And we also talked about Brass Transit and the interesting arrangements of 70s songs you've done in the style of Chicago. The one thing we didn't get to was your book about Steely Dan's Asia album, and I'm afraid we're not going to be getting to that today either, because we're going to be focusing exclusively on your new release, so that will have to be appearance number 4. So the name of the album is Left. Is that because you used to live in Toronto and you left?
Well, somebody made that joke, actually. Peter Murray, who's played some bass with Monkey House on occasion, asked me that question. Is it left because you just left?
Well, your promo material indicates that your move out west to the left coast, played a significant role in the inspiration for the material. And I was trying to think, well, why would he call it Left? And then I thought, well, you left.
Yeah, well, there are a number of different ways you can take it. The on the nose one is that I moved to the left coast and actually hatched a lot of the groove and title ideas for this record in the car as I drove through, Missouri and Oklahoma and all points along the way.
Yeah, you've got a lot of returning guests and also some exciting new ones. How did the experience of writing and recording this one compare to Headquarters? Was it easier, harder, or about the same?
Well, I would say it was more focused this time because I got a lot of traction with Headquarters. I created a lot of new fans and opened up pockets of support for Monkey House, in Japan and Australia and different parts of Europe and Scandinavia and et cetera. And so I felt like there was more of a demand for it, and Alma Records, which licensed the last record, actually signed me directly this time.
Nice.
And so I was, for a change, on a timeline that was more specific than, hey, maybe I'll make another Monkey House album when my schedule allows it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also that the label showed confidence in you, and also that there was a demand created, that so you had the sense when you're recording this, people are going to hear this, it's going to be promoted and marketed. And so I imagine the two sides of that. One, it's a good thing knowing that, and the other thing, like you said, now it's like, hey, you're on the time schedule. It's actually probably good to be on a time schedule.
Oh, I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I should have made, I've made 5 records with this project. I should have made 15 by now, but that's just the nature of things not getting to the top of your pile.
You had a co-producer, Peter Cardinale, and your engineer was John Beetle Bailey. So what did those guys bring to the proceedings?
Well, Peter is a monster musician. He's a bass player from Toronto, and he's done all kinds of stuff that you guys would know, including a stint with Motown, arranging, producing, playing, and working with Rick James, who's from our neck of the woods up there from Buffalo. And he, at sort of the peak of his playing career, started this label, Alma Records, which is that rarest of labels, a truly music-oriented label. And he's sort of making decisions based on what's cool and what he likes, as opposed to what the quickest buck is. And so my previous album had actually already come out, and Peter showed interest in it, and so we basically shut down the indie release version of it and did a license with Alma Universal, and it came out with Peter. And then John, the engineer, I've been working with on multiple records for, I don't even know how many years now, at least 15.
Is Alma an acronym, or is it the Spanish word for soul?
That's what it is, yeah.
Okay.
Spanish and Italian.
Okay, because he has it capitalized, and it makes me think it's like, ALMM. Terrific. What could that mean?
Right. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think he's fielded that question a few times because of the capitals.
Yeah. Mark Kelso is back on drums, and Pat Kilbride is back on bass because, hey, if it ain't broke.
Yeah.
Last time you were here, you mentioned wanting to use a single guitar player on all the musical beds for your next album, which is this one, for the sake of continuity. You had several guest soloists, which we'll get to a little later, but did Justin pretty much do all the heavy lifting on this in terms of guitar textures?
He did, yeah. I mean, we cut the beds as a quartet, basically live off the floor, and for continuity and for other reasons, I felt it was nice to just have one core guitar player. It was a tough decision in that I've used a lot of guys from Toronto, often on the same record over the years, but I felt like there'd be more band spirit and more continuity groove-wise from track to track if it was the same four people.
Now, we learned on our Brass Transit episode that you have a gift for horn arrangements. Is it true that apart from the soloing, all the horn parts were recorded in a single session?
They were, yeah, and I was pushing the limit of endurance of a couple of those guys.
There's a lot of horns on the album, and when I read that, I was like going, really? They came in one day and did all that? Because it's tight, and it's complex, and it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of notes. The horns were on the faces for the better part of, I'm going to say, 8 hours or something that day. And we had, because I didn't use a trumpet player this time on the core horn section, it was a fivesome. So the trombones were playing quite high, and so I had the two trombone players trading the first and second chair just so I wouldn't kill anybody.
So you had alto, tenor, and baritone sax, and two trombones.
Right.
Yeah, and then you had sax and trumpet that you added later.
Yes.
So Headquarters featured 14 tracks, 11 of which you wrote by yourself, plus 2 co-writes with your brother Jeff and 1 with Mark Jordan. This new one has 7 solo compositions. Jeff and Mark are back with 1 co-write each. And you also have 2 new collaborators who we'll identify when we get to their particular tracks. So the grooving song we opened the show with has a pretty provocative title. We've taken a word with a very negative connotation and paired it with a word with a positive one and arrived at death by improvement. Is this a situation where someone tries to change someone else with tragic consequences?
Yeah, well, the DNA of that song is a studio in Toronto I used to work at and made the first 2 Monkey House records at, called Marigold. The owner-operator there used to intervene when he thought I was going too deep with an arrangement or putting too many layers on something and say, Donnie, death by improvement. When you'd sort of pass the point of it meaning anything or having any positive outcome. And I just loved that phrase. It used to make me laugh. And I thought, what could that mean in a larger sense? And then I happened upon this idea of it's, between 2 people, and it's the old, I love you, you're perfect, now change.
It's so common because not long ago we had Scott Sherrard on the show, and he's in Greg Allman's band. And Greg Allman had done an interview with Dan rather. Got Don on the brain,
Right.
but I should have Dan. So at any rate, so one of the questions Dan Rather asked him was like about him being married so many times.
Yeah.
Because, of course, he's married to Cher, and that apparently didn't work out because she wanted to live out here where we are now in Southern Cal, and he's just so south. He just
Right.
had to be in Georgia. But yeah, he said, I meet these women, and they just tell me how great I was, how much they love me. We get married, and they immediately go about trying to change me.
Right.
So for me, it was funny because I got three things out of it. First, I just saw the written word, Death by Improvement. That already I was intrigued by that. And then I heard the song and everything. I read the lyrics, and I picked up on what you just said. Another thing about where this phrase originated is my third, little nugget I got out of it. It's funny.
Well, this is where I should put in the disclaimer that it's not autobiographical and has nothing to
Yes.
do with my new beautiful wife.
I was going to say, one thing that's changed since the last time you've been here, and one reason I didn't comment on it is because people who know from headquarters, you're like doing like what Becker and Fager and so many people do, is you're creating fictional situations to broaden your abilities. But since you were here last, you did get married, and congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And yes, I'm going to guess that she isn't going to kill you by improving you.
Let's hope.
That's such a common thing, I won't always say it's the woman doing it to the guy. I'll say frequently is, but I'm sure that it can work the other way too. Any two people just saying, look, if you would just do this and think like I do and act like I do and do everything I want you to, you'd be so much better. And you're thinking, I don't think I would, and leave me alone.
You'd be bored to tears.
Right? Make a clone of yourself. Well, that track has a really nice pocket in those time signature changes where you purposely lose a beat.
Yeah.
You got to have musicians of a particular caliber, not only just to do it at all, but also to do it and still have the feel and that.
Right. It was particularly in the bridges there, which are in 7. What I proposed to do was go into kind of a James Brown feel there and keep that forward momentum of a funk groove, but just dropping an eighth note every measure. And that's why it's near the end of the album, because it's not for the dancers.
No, like the crunge. Like a lot of people don't get the joke on Led Zeppelin's The Crunge. They said let's do something that no one could dance to, and that's why it's got such a off jerky rhythm.
Yeah.
But people just thought, oh, this is an off jerky rhythm song. What was wrong with them? Nobody got the joke. Okay, well the next tune I want to play features an accordion solo, which I had assumed was a melodica until I read the liner notes. And that's an interesting choice. Did you just know someone who played accordion, or did you have the idea first, I need an accordion on this? Or?
Well, the tune in question is Tango by Yourself.
Correct.
And I thought it might be interesting thematically to go to the
Tango.
the instrument most identified with the tango. My problem was I knew a lot of guys who played some accordions. A lot of the Italian guys up in Toronto, of course, started on accordion. But not a lot of people play it in that kind of linear bebop-y way. It's more that traditional, lots of arpeggios approach. So I said to Peter, do you know a guy who could do that? And it was a guy I knew a little bit, but a very good friend of Peter's named Tom Sesniak, who's an incredible composer, multi-instrumentalist, award winner type guy up in Toronto. And he came in and just killed it. I mean, we got maybe 8 takes out of him, and I could have put any one of them on the record as the solo.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
And then Donnie McCaslin, that Bowie guy on sax.
Right, now he's the Bowie guy.
The Bowie guy.
I mean, he was a Berkeley guy, and for years has run his own groups, and his last 2 records are just off the charts great. I recommend them to anybody.
But he played on David Bowie's recent, widely acclaimed last album.
Yeah, Bowie recruited Donnie and his whole quartet for his what turned out to be his swan song record. And Donnie and I have mutual friends, and he really dug the last Monkey House record, and so I wanted to find a way to have him on this one.
Lyrically, is it about being self-sufficient and being content to be alone?
Yeah, that's sort of the broader idea. It's just a twist on the it takes 2 to tango idea. Well, no, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you can have a good time on your own.
If you got a good enough accordion player, why not?
Right.
Let's listen to this from the new Monkey House album, Left. This is Tango by Yourself.
are all alone. Fine, you're passing your time, ordering more wine and tapping on your phone. You've got to stop remembering. You've got too much to forget. So let your bridges burn. It's time to learn to tango by yourself. 'Cause it don't take two. Take the lead. You don't need anybody else. You gotta tango by yourself. By the pool, you're losing your cool the way you think you should. Cruel, that's how it feels. Spinning your wheels won't do you any good. You've got to stop remembering. You're getting high on regret. So let burn. It's time to learn to tango by yourself. 'Cause it don't take two. Take the lead. You don't need anybody else. You gotta tango by yourself. To stop remembering. You got too much to forget. So let your bridges burn. It's time to learn to tango by yourself. 'Cause it don't take two. Take the lead. You don't need anybody else. So let tango by yourself.
Wow, so who plays the accordion that way? Apparently, Tom, you say Czesniak?
Czesniak, yeah.
So that's Lucy Woodward doing the additional vocals?
Yeah, I had Lucy in actually just for one day, and she did all the female vocal parts for the record. She's such a consummate professional, you know. Do you want it with vibrato? If not, gospel-y, straight, whatever. And she's a fantastic songwriter, artist in her own right. She's got a new record out on Snarky Puppy's label, Ground Up.
Yeah, she's great. So you rhymed fool, pool, cool, and cruel, but you left out school.
Yeah, what happened there? Where were you?
You need cooling. I'm not fooling. You need schooling. Was this one of your road songs?
Actually, no, this was written not too long after I got out to LA a few years ago, and I was driving up the 405, and anyone who lives around here knows that means you're basically stationary for a while. And I just had it's kind of the harmonic concept for that little piano pattern that goes through the chorus, and sang it into my phone, and as soon as I got home that day, kind of got the thing up on its feet.
So it was a road song in the sense that you wrote it in the car.
Right.
It just didn't come on that particular trip.
Yeah, when you say road song, I'm thinking about the long trip from Toronto
which
to
is
the
what
West
I
Coast.
actually meant. So yeah, but it was written in the car. That's interesting. So you have a track called When the Kid Comes Home with some nice sax work from John Johnson. How does the idea of homecoming relate to the cross-country journey?
Yeah, well, that was something I didn't think of until after the fact, that I cooked up that song while I was leaving home. But I'm sure Freud would say there's some correlation between the two concepts. The idea was just, is there some kid in your neighborhood that was the cool kid and went off somewhere and did something, and just by his very absence became a legend? You know, and did the cool factor of your neighborhood go down noticeably when that person left? And was there some kind of anticipation that they would someday come back and bring with them news of the world and tell you about all the rocks they turned over and all the cool things they found? And that's the kid in this song.
Interesting. And you got a presumably fictional nightclub in there called The Hanging Chad, because who doesn't love an Al Gore reference?
I thought that would be a great band name, The Hanging Chads.
Yeah, I said, once again, I read the lyrics before because I had the PDF of the lyrics. I read them before I heard it. I go, well, this is interesting. But you redeem yourself. You got a James Dean reference in there too with East of Eden.
East of Eden, you caught that.
Yeah, I'm pretty attentive on a good day. Next, I want to play what I think is one of the standout tracks on the album. It definitely strikes you as a tale of someone traveling west. Trumpet virtuoso Michael Lenhart returns to solo on this one. So how you come up with It's Already Dark in New York?
Well, first of all, Michael Lenhart just killed it on that track. He sent me that solo. I mean, I thought of him because he's a born and bred New Yorker. I mean, apart from the obvious reasons of he's just a monster soloist. But when he sent me that solo, I felt like that track in my eyes went from sort of in the pack to being at or near the top of the record.
The whole album is great. I like all the tracks. That one leaps out as something special, I think.
Well, the concept for that song, It's Already Dark in New York, was something I had around for a long time. Partially because if you grow up where I grew up, kind of on the western edge of the Eastern time zone, you have this idea that even in my own little swath of time here, the people on the eastern part of it, it's already night there, but I can still see the sun. And I just thought, is there a greater symbolic point to be made there that New York is dark and it's always nighttime there, and we're all running around playing Frisbee in the rest of the continent?
Yeah, that's interesting. It conceptually reminds me a little bit of Bad Sneakers with the New York homesickness kind of idea.
Right, that's the concept, that somebody's out here in the land of consistently beautiful weather and swaying palm trees and all the rest of it, and just feeling like a fish out of water.
Well, let's listen to it. It's Already Dark in New York.
Cocktails in Hollywood, late afternoon. He watches the sun as he dreams of the moon. Yeah, Yes, it's playtime for angels at the last chance resort, but it's already dark in New York. Jazz on Lower Broadway, those were the days. Yeah. Pictures her face in the cool downtown haze. Now he squints through the palm trees as the next round is poured, and it's already dark in New York. No doubt there was a time he could have said no, 1,000 times no to this. 1,000,000 Valentines, the Malibu place just can't replace her kiss. He curses the madness of his golden town. He craves what is lost, but the sun won't go down. He's tinged with the sadness of love's final spark, and it's already dark in New York. Doubt there was a time he could have said no, 1,000 times no to this. 1,000,000 Valentines, the Malibu place just can't replace her kiss. The madness of his golden town. He craves what is lost, but the sun won't go down. He's tinged with the sadness of love's final